This is David Diaz, former WBC lightweight champion of the world, and you're listening to The Grueling Truth.
Welcome to The Grueling Truth's Inside Boxing Weekly Show. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to welcome in my co-host, Jeremiah Preisser.
Good evening, Mike. I'm happy to be here. Glad to be on. Excited for what tonight brings.
All right. We don't really have a lot to preview for this coming week, but we definitely have a lot to review on the Canelo-Khan, their fight, plus the undercard. We'll start off with Frankie Gomez against Maurice Herrera.
I liked the fight. Remember I was telling you, that I think Frankie Gomez was going to have a breakout fight, and he did. I mean, the kid looked very good. I mean, he outclassed Herrera, which is a hard thing to do. The only person I remember winning clearly against Herrera was Kareem Mayfield, which is kind of odd. But Frankie Gomez, he moved well. He was defensively sound. He had quick hands. Looked like he had solid pop, at least enough to get Herrera's respect. I thought he boxed really nice. I think the kid looks good. I mean, if he can maintain his commitment to the sport, I think he's a real player at 147, and the division's already deep.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a great division. And I mean, you got a bunch of guys sitting there that are already established. You got guys up-and-comers like Jeff Horn from Australia, who we're going to have on a show that everybody can catch probably right after they listen to this one. So, I mean, very stacked division. And he looked good. Like you said, Herrera's a solid opponent. I mean, I picked Herrera to win. I was wrong, but first time for everything.
Yeah, well,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, like we said, Herrera, he's proven no easy task for, some of the best guys out there. I mean, Provodnikov, he holds a win over, a lot of people thought he beat Danny Garcia, crafty guy, not a lot of pop, but, yeah, Frankie Gomez went in there, and he definitely made a name for himself.
All right, so then we move on to Glenn Tapia against David Lemieux, which I think went the way we thought.
Yeah, I think Tapia, he's ruined. I think the beating James Kirkland gave him, I think there's holdover from that. Glenn Tapia, to me, his balance didn't look that good. His punches weren't that sharp. I mean, he still looks okay. I mean, he's still a young guy, and he can continue fighting if he'd like. But, he keeps losing and he keeps getting beat up. I don't really see any reason for him to continue. But to David Lemieux's credit, he went out there and did what he was supposed to do. I really like David Lemieux's offense. I mean, defensively, he still has to work on some things. He eats the jab still. Glenn Tapia was able to get that in from time to time. But David Lemieux went in and bombed him out. Again, I really like his offense. He's got quick hands, and the left hook that he throws is beautiful.
Yeah, he's a solid fighter. I mean, a solid fighter with a big punch. So I imagine he'll probably stay around the top 10 for a while. Don't know if really he has what it takes to be a world champion, do you?
No, well, I mean,
well, unless he lands one of those big bombs on somebody.
Right. Well, I mean, potentially, I suppose there's a chance against Billy Joe Saunders. Though Billy Joe Saunders has shown a solid chin. But if, again, this is a big if, and maybe we'll talk about this later, but if Canelo and Golovkin get together and they unify, one of them will hold 3 of the 4 major belts in the division. And if that happens, I can't see Dave Lemieux taking a strap from either of those guys. But again, maybe Billy Joe Saunders, if he wants a lesser title, he could go for that glorified interim belt that Danny Jacobs has. I mean, I think Jacobs is a little better rounded. But, as we've seen, Danny Jacobs can't take a good, hard, clean punch. I mean, he got dropped by Sergio Mora. He starts, yeah.
That's like getting knocked down by a 9-year-old.
It's like getting knocked down by Paulie Malignaggi.
Like I said, a 9-year-old. All right. Let's move on to the main event, which was actually an exciting fight. I think it went exactly the way we said it would. Canelo Alvarez versus Amir Khan.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were holding their breath for a little while. I mean, it went the way we expected to, it went the way a lot of people expected. Khan used his length. He established the jab, established his range. He used lateral movement, and he kept the combinations to a minimum, which I thought was a smart idea. He didn't want to open up too much and give Canelo the big shot in the early going. So Canelo boxed really nicely for the first 5 rounds. I think in the fourth it looked like Saul Alvarez started to time him a little bit, started jabbing a little more, started getting closer and closer, and then, Canelo unleashed that right hand. And I noticed that Khan, what he was trying to do was he was trying to throw a left hook over the right hand. He was trying to time it, but he dropped his left hand too much and caught a right hand, right on the button and got his lights put out.
Yeah, and everybody says that Khan's a little chinny, but that punch would have knocked most people out.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. I mean, Canelo, maybe Golovkin. We haven't seen him hurt, so maybe not Golovkin, maybe not a few other guys.
I said most people there, Jeremiah.
Oh yeah, most people for sure.
When I said most people, I meant everybody but Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah, yeah, but that was a devastating shot. But Canelo was classy afterwards.
Yeah, and I mean, Khan is a really good fighter. He's just, number one, he's not good enough or big enough to fight at that weight. And I think it's almost criminal that you've got a guy that's coming in at almost 180 pounds fighting a guy that's about 160.
Yeah, I mean, Khan said that Canelo was about 180 pounds. And some people may not believe it, but we had Kermit Cintron on last week, and he said he almost swore that Canelo was 185 going into the ring. I mean, I'll take that sort of first-hand testimony over conjecture, but it was a bit upsetting to see it because Khan he really got hurt, and he's shown the wherewithal to overcome knockouts in the past, but there's only so many you can take, and there's only so many you can take. Hopefully he recovers. I give him credit for being a warrior. I mean, he's one of those guys who will take on anybody, anytime, anywhere. And, kudos to him. I've got a lot of respect for the guy, but I'm not sure how his prospects will be in the future.
Yeah, what do you think about just moving the day-in or the weigh-ins to the day of the fight?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things boxing should just go back to. The original 8 divisions, though I wouldn't mind cruiserweight, the weigh-ins the day of the fight. I really think they should go back to that because these weight discrepancies they're getting too much for the sport. I mean, I don't like seeing, there was some parity back in the day when you would weigh in the day of the fight, and these guys would put on, 5 pounds or whatever. But now when you've got these guys who are, they're becoming masters at it. You see guys. I remember Arturo Gatti. When he beat Joe Gamache, he put on like 23 pounds or something.
Yeah, and he almost killed Gamache.
Yeah. And we see it more and more. We see guys like Canelo. He's weighing 155 the day of his fight, and he's put on 25 pounds. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good for the sport. It just looks bad, number one. But the other thing is, at some point, somebody's going to get really hurt.
Yeah, somebody may die.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is this. It seems to me like the guys that are the ones that have the better promoters, if you know what I mean, are the ones that usually benefit from that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like Canelo. And he's a good fighter. He doesn't seem like a bad person, but he's one of those guys who's taken advantage of the system. He's had the big money back him, but he's done this against, Carlos Baldomir, Josecito Lopez, and Elder Shane Mosley, Amir Khan. It's not something the sports it would be beneficial to eliminate that.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that I really have a problem with him fighting at 180 is the fact that when they talk about him fighting Golovkin, he wants automatically the fight to be at 154 pounds.
Well, he wants it at 155. The problem with that, and the problem with fighting at 155, of course, is the middleweight limit is 160.
Yeah, and that's junior middleweight. It's pound over.
Right. Well, the thing for me is if middleweights could make 155, they would make 154. Athletes are always trying to get an advantage. So if a middleweight could potentially make 154 and move a division down, and get put on that weight after the weigh-in and have a physical advantage over a smaller guy, they would. But the fact is, Golovkin, Canelo, they're big guys. I just don't see any reason for Canelo to expect that fight to happen at 155. On top of that, he gets all the benefits. I mean, weight aside, I think weight is a non-issue. But, Canelo's getting home field advantage. The fight would likely be at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and we know how some of the judges have been in Texas before. Think Chavez Whitaker. He's going to sell. He's going to get the bigger share of the purse. I mean, who knows what it might be, 70-30, something like that. But he's getting the bigger share of a big purse. He's got the big money backing him. Again, to me, the weight is a non-issue.
Well, and I'll tell you, with the weight, I think it's an issue because of one thing. I mean, he's going to make Golovkin get all the way down to 154, 155. And then the day of the fight, he's going to blow up the weight. I mean, put it like this. I think it's very possible that when they go in the ring, Alvarez will be bigger.
Yeah, he will be the bigger guy. I mean, from what we know already, Canelo has weighed more in the unofficial weigh-ins than Golovkin ever has. Canelo was 174 against Trout. I don't think he weighed in the Amir Khan fight, but he looked huge against not only Cotto but Amir Khan. So he's already weighed more. He's weighed 174. Golovkin's highest weight is 173. So I don't see the weight discrepancy there. Again, it's a non-issue. They just need to cut the shit and get to it. I mean, it's a fight everyone wants to see. And not only that, with all the damage that Mayweather and Pacquiao has done, with the pay-per-view, with the whole event and the big letdown, I think Golovkin and Canelo could be that. It's the anti-Mayweather and Pacquiao. You know what I mean? It could prove to actually be a good fight, a big sell, and worthwhile for once.
All right, real quick, we have a special guest. The big heavyweight fight coming up next weekend. I'm not going to call it a title fight because Tyson Fury is the heavyweight champion, I believe. But we're going to bring him in to talk about maybe the state of the heavyweight division now, maybe talk a little bit about that fight. Help me welcome to the show former heavyweight contender Peter McNeely. How you doing, Peter?
Good, Mike. How are you?
All right. And do you know Jeremiah?
Jeremiah?
Yeah, Jeremiah Preisser is my co-host.
Oh, Jeremiah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Peter?
Good, thank you. I have to concur. Wilder's got a belt. Wilder has a belt.
Yeah, pretty much everybody has a belt that's in the top 5. So, I mean, right now, do you agree with us that Tyson Fury right now is the real heavyweight champion of the world?
Well, he has the most belts, correct?
Well, he beat the man that was basically
the lineage.
Yeah, you got to have the lineage.
Okay, agreed. But I don't know. I'm a Deontay Wilder fan because USA.
Well, and next weekend he's fighting Alexander Povetkin. How do you see the fight going? I think this is by far his toughest fight.
I would have to agree. My best friend, who I watch a lot of fights with, he's always liked Povetkin. I've never liked him. I've never been impressed with him. But we have to say this: Povetkin's now got is very much more experienced than Wilder.
Yeah, plus he's fighting in his home country of Russia. And Jeremiah, I mean, I think that it makes me think a lot more of Wilder, that he's willing to go to Russia to fight the Russian. That impresses me. What do you think?
Yeah,
I love that. I love it.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of people thought Wilder wouldn't go to Russia. A lot of people thought he was going to vacate the belt and go after Charles Martin. But Wilder stepped up to the plate, proved that he's a champion and that he'll travel. It's going to be a daunting task, in my opinion, not only because I think Alexander Povetkin is a highly skilled fighter, he's got a lot going for him, but I also think because he's going to Russia, and not only, just because it's Russia, because it's on foreign soil, but if you watch recent Russian fights, they've adopted a sort of soccer culture like you hear in the UK. where you get chance